A missile launch from North Korea last month aimed at rattling Japan. It sparked military defense drills near the capital, and now this.
むしろ私はこういう時期にこそ選挙を行うことによってこの北朝鮮問題への対応について国民の皆さんに問いたいと思います。
Japan's Prime Minister called a snap vote for October 22nd, a year earlier than planned, citing security. But Abe's critics don't agree with his timing, saying an election will only create a political vacuum, making the country less safe. The Prime Minister seems confident he can secure a third term and become the longest-serving Japanese leader since World War II, despite fresh competition. The election was announced hours after the governor of Tokyo said she was setting up a rival to Abe's ruling Liberal Democratic Party.
By creating a political environment free of vested interest, we would like to be able to deliver hope in these insecure times.
And that message has wooed MPs from other parties, including Abe's, who are attracted by Kyoki's promise to tackle Japan's ageing population problem. Her party also crushed the LDP in a local election in July. Confidence in Abe is at its lowest since 2012, following accusations he granted political favours to his wife and 2 friends, while a cabinet reshuffle in August only made things worse.
It really is top-down leadership. So the concern is that that top-down leadership has gotten a little bit too strong.
But a poll this week shows that Abe is having a slight bump in popularity, thanks to his defiance towards Kim Jong-un. The Prime Minister said he'll focus on childcare and early education rather than paying back Japan's huge public debt when campaigning starts on October 10th. But will it be his stance on the future of his country or the threat from North Korea that will keep him in power, if at all? Vanessa Keneally, The Newsmakers.
Well, to discuss this, I'm joined now by Kotaro Tamura. He was a senator in Shinzo Abe's first cabinet. He's now a professor at the National University of Singapore. We also have Shihoko Goto. She's a senior Northeast Asia associate at the Woodrow Wilson Center in Washington, D.C. And in Tokyo, Nancy Snow. She's a professor of public diplomacy at Kyoto University of Foreign Studies, as well as the author of several books on foreign policy. Thanks all of you for joining us. Let me begin with you, Kotaro Tamura. Is this a good idea from Shinzo Abe to dissolve the lower house and call for new elections?
So it used to be a good idea, but now a bit unclear because the opposition front line is kind of improvisingly unifying themselves. And, you know, the popularity bouncing back thanks due to the North Korean missile testing. But again, his popularity is a little bit dropping. So things are unclear, but we have more than 3 weeks to go, so anything can happen.
Nancy Snow, he could become Japan's longest-serving post-war prime minister. Is this what Japan needs right now?
Well, I suppose so, but I mean, I look at this snap election as really something that Abe is doing in order to show a sense of unity within a party, the LDP, the dominant party, that is being challenged by a reformist conservative, namely Yuriko Koike, of course, the Tokyo metropolitan governor. And it seems rather self-serving. It's still worthwhile to Abe because his numbers went up, especially after the most recent missile launches that went over Hokkaido. And he wants to strengthen his hold on the LDP. It's worth the risk to him.
Yeah, Shihoko Goto, let's talk about the Party of Hope, led by Yuriko Koike. Is she going to be a threat to Abe in the absence of other strong opposition? Because he seems to be going for the kill right now because the numbers are good or better after the North Korean strike. But is he maybe underestimating her and any other potential threats?
Right. Certainly, Yuriko Koike has been a survivor in Japanese politics. She had previously been with the LDP. She's been with other political parties as well. As the governor of Tokyo, she's established this new party. The new party is now merging with the existing opposition party, the Democratic Party as well. So she's certainly got the political will, she's got the stamina, she's got the name recognition, which is certainly very valuable in an election that will happen in only 3 weeks' time. So there is a lot of momentum building for her, but 3 weeks in politics, unfortunately, is not enough to really overturn the strength that the LDP has wielded. Japan currently is facing an incredibly challenging time, certainly on the foreign policy front regarding how to deal with North Korea, ensuring that the relations with the United States remain strong, dealing also with a very militarized China as well. It also has domestic issues, not least the demographic issue. So at the moment, it does seem to be in favor of Prime Minister Abe.
Mm-hmm. Kotaro Tamura, help me understand this, because we have the North Korean threat. North Korea lobs missiles over. Shinzo Abe talks tough, and his support increases. What does that actually mean? I mean, Japan's not going to go to war with North Korea, is it? But what does that mean in practice? What do the Japanese people want from him, and what are they liking from what they hear him saying with regards to North Korea?
So according to my analysis, this is my opinion. So he tried to take advantage of this kind of threat because he's regarded as a national security leader. So, but allow me to share my other points as a ex-political insider. So interesting point made by Tokyo governor was she is setting up her new party as a conservative. So she is trying to amend the constitution, and she is in line with Prime Minister Abe's attitude toward North Korean situation. So she can be a very good, interesting option who are getting tired of Prime Minister Abe. As you have mentioned, he's the longest-serving Prime Minister. At the same time, media and some people, especially the Tokyo metropolitan area people, they are getting tired.
Shihoko Goto, can you tell me why the main opposition party, the Democratic Party, has been so weak?
In a nutshell, they've been in the opposition and they have come up with ways to protest, but they haven't really followed through on policy. So a specific example, Prime Minister Abe decides to call this snap election. The opposition party decides to vote with their feet and protest and not be in the room. So that kind of action is good, but at the same time, there is a hunger in Japan for real concrete proposals from the opposition to deal with the very real threats. Take the issue of North Korea, whether one agrees with them or not. Abe does have a very carefully crafted plan, one that involves strong U.S.-Japan alliance. Secondly, he does want to pursue a constitutional reform so that Japan can actually enhance its military capabilities and play a greater role in ensuring its own defense abilities as well. These are the kind of things that the LDP has made very clear. The opposition has been weak because they haven't really been able to do much except to oppose those suggestions by Abe, and it staunchly has opposed reforming the constitution as well, which has been a great stumbling block for Japan.
Nancy, there's a cynical interpretation of this move from Abe that he's merely doing it to deflect from the different various corruption scandals that he has been embroiled in. Is that too simplistic, or is there maybe a germ of truth in it?
No, that's absolutely what he's doing. But also keep in mind that here in Japan, politics is not of great interest to people. When we talk about an opposition party, it's mostly in name only. The Liberal Democratic Party has been dominant since the 1950s. It's almost like a one-party state that with the few exceptions. So in terms of political cynicism, that's been going on for decades. My Japanese friends here never talk politics with me. It's mind-boggling, but it's true. And I think it's because they're really disengaged. And this is why Koike, even though she's been around a long time, and she's a senior, I mean, in the LDP, she's been there. She was a minister of defense, and she's not a new face, but her style is refreshing. And she also comes across as bold. I happen to be wearing the colors of her party. I didn't mean to do that, but it's exciting to me as a political scientist, because I think maybe young people I teach at Kyoto University of Foreign Studies will get a little bit more interested in Japanese politics. By and large, they're very disinterested. We focus a lot more on Japanese cuisine and culture and traditional versus modern culture, and politics is really of interest to a minority. So this always will favor someone like Abe, who is, of course, going to, like many politicians, serve his own interests and his own survival.
Shioko Goto, is that true? Broadly speaking, by and large, are the people disengaged from politics?
Is there a great interest in the political party system? No, not really. There are hardcore, staunch supporters of existing parties, not just the LDP. The Komeito party, which is supported by the Soka Gakkai, which is a religious group, they have staunch supporters, as does the Communist Party as well. But if we are looking, for instance, comparing Japan to other countries in Europe, say France, and saying, is Koike going to be the next Macron and start a new political chapter in Japan? I'm afraid the answer to that is going to be no, not really, because at the end of the day, she is part of the establishment, and she will, she's bringing together people, but it's really not a fresh perspective, nor is it really a movement in a new direction.
Mm-hmm. Kotaro Tamura, let me ask you about pacifism. We're seeing all of this emerge in the aftermath of an existential North Korean threat. We're seeing the Japanese people happy to hear their prime minister talk tough when it comes to North Korea and want to take more concrete steps. And we've heard from all of you here that one of the reasons why someone like Koike is resonating with people is because she's also talking tough. Are we seeing the Japanese political system, led by Prime Minister Abe, step by step? Is this another pebble along the road to Japan fully moving away from its pacifist constitution?
I don't think so, but recent statistics shows people supporting Prime Minister Abe's tough attitude to North Korea. The even nuclearization of Japan, some people the support is increasing. So people take it very seriously, North Korean issues. The people are concerning about the Japan surrounding situation, not only North Korea, China in the long run. So, U.S. is kind of backing off and unpredictable. So, Japanese people, by and large, are supporting Prime Minister Abe's, tough stance against the neighbors. And I think he's taking, chances, and also, taking it privilege to amend the Constitution. So I think, constitutional amendment is not very easy, but gradually, incrementally, support to not, more defense against and more stability using defense power will be shared by the general public, I think.
Shioko, let me ask you, are we seeing this? There was a lot of, a lot of soul searching, right? A lot of soul searching for a lot of time after World War II. And there was this constitution built into the national identity, pacifism. Is that now changing? Are we seeing the evidence unfold before our eyes with things like this? And are we moving in that direction? Is this yet another example?
I think there's a disconnect between what the more hawkish members of the LDP, including the Prime Minister, want for Japan. They want the constitutional reform, which is essential for Japan to enhance its military capabilities, which is also seen as part and parcel of taking a strong stance against North Korea. But that kind of appetite for Japan to reconsider its constitution, to be a bigger military presence, is not really being followed in public. That said, it is worth bearing in mind that Japanese military spending for this fiscal year is at its highest level since World War II. That doesn't really mean much, though, because it's been so low over the years, and it's still about 1% of GDP. There is a move now, though, to increase it to by another 20% or so, which is significant. It would certainly help with Japan's missile defense systems, which would be targeting directly against North Korea. But when you compare it to countries like China, or indeed the United States, it's still very much small potatoes.
Mm-hmm. Nancy, at some point, will the Japanese say maybe attack is the best form of self-defense?
Absolutely not. I couldn't disagree more with this. I think that Japan's peace brand has worked very effectively for 70 years. And be careful what you wish for. It's one thing to have tough talk, but you're talking about Japan's self-defense forces, none of whom, not one soldier has ever fired a weapon that has killed another person. They haven't seen active war since the end of World War II. And all of this militarism talk in such a nuclearized part of the world is extremely concerning to me. We need to come up with some alternative, creative thoughts here, especially regarding the fact that this country is a cultural superpower. It's always been, it's been defanged military-wise. And I'm not sure if the world is going to want to see a Japan that is taken out from under the umbrella of the U.S.-Japan Security Alliance and becomes a much more aggressive military power on its own. Of course, I worry about North Korea, but we can't look at a limited nuclear war with North Korea or some type of first strike. It would just be catastrophic.
Shihoko Goto, tell me how this is going to unfold come the end of October after those snap elections. How's it going to play out?
Abe will win with the majority. He will continue with his coalition government with the Komeito. There will be a new package to revitalize the economy, which will focus tremendously on dealing with the demographic time bomb. There should be more enhanced military spending, but it will fall short of pushing through with his initial proposal earlier this year about trying to redefine and rewrite the Japanese constitution.
Okay. Kotaro Tamura, Shihoko Goto, and Nancy Snow, it's been great to talk to all of you. I thank you very much for joining us on the Newsmakers.